Alright, True Crime Grapevine fans, sit down and let's talk about the fourth flight of our episode 8 update, April 12th, Tuesday, about Cassie Carli. So if you remember, Cassie Carli unfortunately was found deceased in Alabama. She was a mother of a little girl named Sailor and was making a custody exchange with Marcus. Marcus, I can't ever say his name right. Spanavelli. Bad Marcus. Sorry. Again, this is all, we're just here talking about the juicy gossip on the grapevine, what everybody else is saying. This is my speculation and my opinion, and Marcus has every right to be considered innocent until found guilty by a jury of his peers. But, yeah. I have one correction. So, last week this case was new because we had just found out about it, and everything happened very quickly, which, if you were listening to last week's episode, I told you, I think that Cassie's family was on the ball. They got social media involved. They were plastering her face, her name, the story everywhere. And I really think they had a lot to do, along with social media, of getting out her face and Marcus's face with Sailor, so that everybody knew exactly what was happening. There was not a big delay in this case. Unfortunately, it seems as if Marcus picked up, somehow got Cassie into, it looks like from a picture that was shown on Ikamel's channel, because a door was open and he had a Ford, I don't know if it was Ford actually, he had a truck with a big trailer, and there's a picture right at 701 of the trailer door being opened. So we don't know what he did, how he enabled her, rendered her unable to stick up for herself, but apparently he got the child from her. He was supposed to be giving the child back after a weekend visit. They met in Navarro Beach, which was not their usual meeting spot. They met right at sunset. He somehow got her, it looks as if, somehow he had her and traveled to Alabama where he worked. My corrections is, I said that she was found in Springville, Alabama at a residence that he had been renting. That's not exactly true. Apparently he was renovating the property that was near the barn where she was found buried. So, again, the family's immediate plastering of her name, her face, talking to everybody on true crime social media, all the channels, let me tell you, that probably alerted the guy, because his name was not associated with that property legally, as far as I know. He was renovating it for the person who owned it, maybe to stay there. That whole story isn't clear. But what is clear is the barn was 150 yards from that residence at which he was helping the person renovate. And if that person probably hadn't said, hey, look, that guy's helping me renovate this house, you know, that's a property that one would then assume maybe they should search, and they searched the nearby barn and found her. So, I had previously said that he had rented that property and that he wasn't very smart to bury a body where he was renting. So apparently he was a little bit smart, but not too much, because of the fast action of Cassie's family. So, and then, as we know, as soon as all that information came out and the Florida police were speaking to Marcus in Alabama at wherever his job that he had up there, he went on the run with Sailor, was caught around Nashville, Tennessee. So, he was being held in Tennessee, and then they found, he was being held at first because he had an outstanding Alabama speeding ticket for going 97 and 70. So I'm assuming he was speeding again in Tennessee because it was the highway patrol that pulled him over, and isn't that just desserts? And Sailor was with him. She was taken into protective custody then in Tennessee away from him, and he was arrested, first held on the missing his court date for the speeding charges. But then once they found the body, he was arraigned for that. When he was arraigned for that, he was acting very odd. I think we discussed this last time. He said something about he didn't want to be extradited back to Florida until he knew that his child was with the people that he wanted her taken care of, which I don't know what in his deluded mind he thought he had any right to say where that child was going to be. And maybe, I don't know, at this point, the child and the family were from Florida. He took the body, which was found in Alabama, went on the run, and was caught in Tennessee. So now we have this multi-state jurisdictional issue. And we have kidnapping, taking the child when it wasn't his turn, do the custody procedure, as well as, obviously, murder. So it's a mess because of that interstate issue. And we're not, it has been reported that Saylor is back with her family in Florida. I hope she is. The sister of Cassie Ray was on Duty Ron, Crime Time with Duty Ron. His channel is just called Duty Ron, and you can find him on Twitter at Duty Ron. He is a retired NYPD law officer, and he talks about true crime from a law perspective. I try to listen to all the different perspectives, like sort of putting them together in a Venn diagram and then looking at the middle to sort of sift through what is the most accurate. Of course, then it's my determination. So, I mean, I listen to defense attorneys. I listen to true crime, just people who are interested. I listen to and the law enforcement people. So getting all those different perspectives helps sort of sift through and see if they're all saying one same thing. That's probably closest to being accurate. But Duty Ron had on her sister Ray. Ray is 5 years younger than Cassie. And interestingly enough, I don't know if it's for sure, but if it was Ray's child, there were also this past week some old text messages that were, I don't know if they were FOIA'd. I'm not exactly sure how this evidence, like why it was released, but all the channels had the text messages, and it was from 2019 and about a custody exchange between Marcus and Cassie. And apparently Cassie, it seems as if there was a weekend where Marcus was supposed to have her, but Cassie was going to be gone in like for an extended, like a vacation, because, and I think it might have been Ray had a baby and there was a baby shower. And like any normal people, you go, oh, well, like, do you mind if I take this extra weekend? And the text messages are her trying to work out, like, well, I'll give you an extra weekend. I'll give you 2 extra weekends. She even said, I'll let you come with us if you don't feel like she's safe. Because apparently there had been acrimony between Cassie's mom and Marcus, which let's just give Cassie's mom props to know that exactly what kind of person he was. In my opinion, just saying, speculation. But these text messages show, so everybody on, all the other true crime people seemed, to my opinion, be saying like, see, he was unwilling to whatever. He's very rigid. He's an a-hole. He's a jackhole. I don't know. Jackalope, I believe is what Duty Ron calls him. But while it does show rigidity, and I said before, I come from a cognitive background. I have done and finished and taken all my tests. I'm ABD in educational psychology, which is the study of how people make memories, how they think, their motivations, typical development of human development of cognition. I really think that what these messages show is that in arguing, Marcus is less concerned with Saylor and spending time with Saylor as a father. Marcus is more concerned with, well, you got this, and so I should get this, like tit for tat, like he's a child, and they're talking about, you got half a pizza, and I should get exactly half a pizza, and no, I'm not going to take another pizza, I want that pizza, and then you're just wrong, and you're wrong. Like, not concerned about the actual parenting, not concerned about the child. Not really, he wasn't concerned about the child's safety. He wasn't really even concerned that he missed time. His text seemed to focus on, yes, but it's my weekend. And she's like, yeah, I know, but we have this big family event, and I'm taking her, and I know it's your weekend, so, like, it seems like per the order, there must have been something written about, like, extended whatever. I'm going to, you know, I'm offering you this other time, okay? And he's like, nope, I don't want the other time. That's my weekend. She's like, no, I'll offer you 2 weekends, basically. No. I want that weekend. It's my weekend. Basically, it sounds to me, if you look at his writing and you consider the whole, everything around their relationship, it sounds as if Marcus was like, no, it's my weekend. It's like a 3-year-old where they dig in. No, you said it was my weekend. It's my weekend. I don't want another weekend. And she's like, okay, but this weekend falls within this other time period where we're having a family celebration. You can come with, blah, blah. Not interested. Cassie then sends him pictures of the, sailor. Like, oh, look, we're doing this. We're having fun. Now, one could read that as, was she needling him? I think, personally, according to everything about this woman, that she was really trying to interest him in the daughter and show him, see, like, basically, I know you lost your weekend, but I am offering you more, and look at the fun she's having. Marcus was like, I don't want to see pictures. Don't show me that. I don't care. And then was interested in, well, you took her away for a week. How about I take her for another week then? I'm going to just keep her. And she's like, well, no, because she can only miss so much time at daycare. So Cassie is always talking about logistically, like, parenting and the good and what is good for the child. And Marcus is like, no, it's my time. You took my time. Then I should get her for a week. Like, I don't care if she misses school. And Cassie's like, okay, but you work out of town anyway, so, like, basically, what'd you be doing with her? And he's like, not your business. Basically, you took my time. If you had a week, if you had an extra week, I'm taking an extra week. What also came out in this past week was more information about, so apparently, and Ray, the sister, talked about the fact that they dated. She seems to think, I think they met online, which is fine. And Cassie had a previous relationship, and it was fraught with difficulty because they had infertility, and she really wanted a baby, and it was sad. And that, I don't know if you're aware, but there's lots of people where that ruins a relationship. Just the stress of getting pregnant, losing a baby, can't get pregnant, want a baby. Anyway, and she's older. She's, in her late 30s. So she's dating again. She meets this guy, and if you see Marcus, he's from Brazil. He looks cute. I mean, I would think he was cute. He's not ugly. We have no idea what he acted like, but how it turns out is, so she's dating a shorter time. Now, she's an older woman, and let me just tell you, it's not like when you're 16 and, oh my gosh, she got pregnant, right? So what? She magically, not magically, but to her it was magically, got pregnant, and she had been wanting a baby. And so she is not going to not have a baby when she really wants one, even though she, this guy, he can be involved as she wants. It's not like she said, you have to marry me, right? Well, apparently he was like not only not interested, at some point, it's not clear how it happened, but there was a paternity test done. So this guy apparently didn't want to take care of the baby at all. So once the paternity test is done, and then there's more court filings showing that he was ordered to pay a certain amount of, then he fought for, like, I want equal custody. This is my personal opinion, but it seems like when people realize they're going to have to pay something, they're like, well, I want the baby half the time, so then I don't have to pay anything. Like, somehow it's a money grab, and they're not thinking about the child. They're just thinking, I don't want to pay. His financial stuff looks really bad. And then he was ordered to pay, and I don't think it was a lot of money, but he did have professional work doing something in, I believe, computers. So he was ordered to pay a certain amount. She had the baby during the week, and he had her every other weekend. And he also was then responsible for a certain amount, probably towards education insurance. I'm not sure how that works, but he had to pay something. And he kept being in arrears. He wasn't paying. So when they had one fight, and I don't know if it was that 2019 fight, but basically, I think it was right after that, he basically took her anyway. So he'd been ordered to pay money, and I believe he had to pay court costs. At that point, it seems like it's around this 2019 point after this trip. So he basically, in my opinion, and I don't have any like proof of this, but I would say cognitively, it appears as if like a child, he was like, you took her for a week, I'm going to take her for a week. You took her when you didn't have the weekend, I'm going to take her for when I want to take a week. And there was a 2-week period in which her family said he had custody when it was not, that's not his, that he's not supposed to have custody during those time periods. And to me, that is very much treating the child as if she was a thing. And it looks to me as if he didn't so much care to parent her, but basically using her as a chip. Like, oh, you want her? Well, you had her, and now I have her. You want me to pay? I'm going to take her away. Like, using the child as a way to hurt Cassie. So, there was this ruling right about that time. So there, I don't know if that's why this was all released together, but it appears as if he had this chip on his shoulder, and there's this pattern of, well, then I'll just take her when I want her because you did something. And even though Cassie was basically the full-time caregiver and he only saw her every other weekend, he was mad that he had to pay money. He was mad that he was losing in court. And so he was going to take that baby and show her what was what. So that happened previously. Now this time, we find out just 9 days before this happened, there was another problem in court where he was ruled against and had to pay like $5,900 and some dollars for Sailor. Now, knowing everything we know now and knowing his past pattern of behavior, I'm just going to make a theory, an assumption here, and it is all my speculation. I think at that moment he made another plan. I don't know if he planned to hurt Cassie at the time, or maybe she knew what he was going to do, and I don't know if there was some altercation, except that the sister Ray said she had been concerned about her safety in the past. I believe she had even obtained a fire weapon to protect herself maybe. But this time, he had changed the meeting place. Instead of Destin, they were going to meet closer in Navarre Beach. But he had also changed the time to be closer to sunset, where it was dark. Maybe, it seems to me, and she said she didn't seem upset this time. I believe he was super nice to her, super agreeable. Who knows what he offered her, maybe even like, oh, and I've got that check for you. So nice. Doing her a favor, meeting close to home. Getting her to trust him. She's probably like, oh, well, this time, he probably said something about, oh, we had a great time together this weekend, and I really think things are working. Like, he probably lied his you-know-what off to get her to feel comfortable enough to come there alone at dusk. So, Ray has spoken with Duty Ron on his channel and just sort of said the family has started a foundation under the Cassie Carli, I think I'm saying her name right, it's spelled Carli, foundation for women who are in the same situation. They are trying to get a light put in that parking lot. I think Cassie ran into a monster. Kind of like the next flight we have is Naomi's case. I think she just happened to date the wrong guy. She just happened to get pregnant, which worked out for her, but the guy was a psycho. In my opinion, it is just my opinion. He seems on all his, like right now he's awaiting extradition from Tennessee to Texas, or to Florida, and he will be, they're going to have a talk with him on April 13th about how this is going. They will extradite him, but his face looks blank. I really feel if anybody is a candidate to be like a sociopath, he just doesn't seem like all his responses to her in his texts, the way he spoke in court. He seems like, yeah, well, like, I don't know. Like, he has no remorse. And then there's I mentioned it before, and I couldn't find exactly who talked about it. I believe Melvin in Florida. He has a true crime channel. He often goes live, and he had a source, somebody down in Navarro Beach, and they were talking about people, true crime people, way more skilled than myself, went and looked at all of the messages of like the social media posts and found him talking to his mother in Brazil, who said she was looking forward to seeing her daughter. And I have to go back and watch that. It was Ikadmel's first live about this case. But I am telling you, I would bet anything it is within that, I believe it's within that window of him getting the bad judgment, thinking he had to pay money, and him like deciding not going to do it. And going to take that baby, and going to take her to Brazil, where I can't be extradited from because he was a Brazilian national, because that makes sense. So if we know the date of his mother's post on Facebook, I would guess this was all transpired. So does this mean don't take people to court when they owe you money? Certainly not. People are responsible. I think what it does mean, though, is never trust them by yourself. If someone suddenly, especially if somebody who has been difficult, suddenly, I mean, they just were in court 9 days prior to that, and I am sure he was not very nice about what happened. Suddenly he's all peaches and cream. He didn't forget. Like, people just have to be aware. Yes, you can give people second chances, but I don't know if this could have been stopped, and I don't know if any of us could have been more aware than Cassie was. So, it is all, like I said, she met a monster. It is very unfortunate, but he is caught. He will be extradited. He will go down for this. I am pretty sure, just my opinion. After, of course, he's presumed innocent until the jury of his peers finds him guilty. It's just really a shame. Anyways, please Google the Cassie Carli Foundation, and if you so can, give to that worthy. It's a worthy cause to help women who are in these types of cases and getting safer, changing the laws about getting safer meeting custody exchanges places. It shouldn't be in random, states could afford to have stations, substations next to a police, where all it is you fill in your time to go meet at that place, and that's where you make the exchange, where the police are. That's probably a better case. All right, so flight number 4. Hi, if you liked this flight of episode 8's True Crime Grapevine, please put something in the comments, like, subscribe, hit the notification buttons. You know how to do all the YouTube-y things, and I will see you with new flights next Tuesday.